Hey guys, it's Colin L4D2 here, and today I'll be doing something different from what I normally upload. I used to upload Dragon Ball Z Ocean Dub videos a long time ago, and now I've moved on to gameplay, but this is going to be pretty different. I guess it's like a rant, but I don't really want to consider it that, but it's not a video essay, so we'll just make it just a discussion. What I want to talk about today is Left 4 Dead 2, which is like, oh wow, Left 4 Dead 2, I've never done that before. Not like my channel name could give off any hints that I like the game a little bit. But I'm not just going to talk about, oh, the game being good. Today I'm going to talk about toxicity in the community. Now, I'm not here to be some white knight of justice, like, oh, toxicity, all of it needs to be removed, and I'm going to stop it. No, let's be real here. There's always going to be some toxicity in a community, no matter what. The real thing I want to do is just tone it down so that more people can just enjoy the game in general. I want to preface this video that I'm not the first person to ever bring this topic up. This is like a large, widely discussed topic in the community. There's also this guy's video, which I found on pretty much the same topic that I'm talking about, and I think it's pretty decent. I would also like to talk about my credentials. I figured that would be a good thing to mention for this. On PC, I played about 1,076 hours. And on Xbox, I used to play the game like all day, every day when I was a kid for years on end. So I'd say I'd have about 2,000 on there. So as you can see, I've been in the community for a long time. So I would say I know a very good bit about the community and its reputation, whether that be good or not. Back onto the topic, there's a very bit of rampant toxicity in the community, specifically in versus mode, which makes sense because, I mean, it's a competitive mode. Of course there's going to be some toxicity in a competitive mode. But it can also be seen in campaign, which is really sad because campaign's just supposed to be like a chill mode to play, but for some reason the toxicity is also being brought there. So for like the types of toxicity, there's your usual rampant suspects of people saying racial slurs. That's in like every single toxic game ever. But what I see different in the Left 4 Dead 2 toxicity is the kick button. I'm not saying the kick button's bad, not at all. The kick button is needed to remove trolls, obviously. But before I go more into what I mean about the kick button, I need to explain some terms for the people in the audience who, for some reason, have not played Left 4 Dead 2. And also, this is a college project, so I need to do this, but I was going to do this anyway, because there might be some people who've never played video games who are probably just hopping on this video. So the terms I'm going to define real quick are lobby and vote to kick, the kick button. I figured the best way to show this off is to me cutting to just some footage of me and two friends going and showing it just straight up. Alright, so now I'll be going over a couple things in this section. We'll be going over the lobby and the kick button, obviously, as I said before, but first I want to talk a little bit more about who the toxicity affects the most in this community. And for that, I would have to go with minorities. Specifically African Americans. The N-word is used a lot in this community. Specifically, well, the toxic part. Obviously not everyone is racist, but the toxic part of this community seems very, very racist. And as a mixed person myself, who has black heritage, I am astonished with how racist this part of the community can be. According to a Coastline College blog by Noah Nelson, African Americans make up about 31% of targets of toxicity, which seems a little low for how much toxicity there is towards African Americans in this community. Keep that in mind for later parts of the video. Now though, I'm going to talk about the two things I was going to talk about in the beginning. So, I'm going to introduce two of my friends. So first things up, we have Drew. Drew, would you like to say
Hello.
something? And Max, say something.
Hello.
So we're going to show you off how to make a lobby, or a little what is a lobby. So over here it says create new campaign lobby, and with this my friends can join this since it's friends only, and I've set up pretty much a game of the game. If I was playing public, as in a public game, anyone would be able to join no matter what. And that's good because it allows games to be found easier. But with versus mode specifically, this could be a problem with pretty much zero matchmaking. But now we're going to show off the kick button. Okay, so now we're in a match, and right now I want to show off the kick button. So I'm going to do a scenario. Let's say there's someone, as in, you know, someone being toxic, which it's not too hard to find in a public lobby. But how do we get rid of this person? So you call a vote to kick, and what this does is set up a vote where players can vote yes or no if they want this player removed. If it goes through like it did, they are now removed from the game and are replaced with a computer. In a public lobby, though, not this specific game I've made, the person can just join back over and over and over again, so it doesn't exactly solve the problem, but it is a good way to get rid of them temporarily. Some other things I would like to go in a bit more in depth with is specifically the Charger and the Hunter, which I'm going to mention later on in this video. So they are both what is called in the game special infected, which are just zombies with superpowers in very basic terms. The Hunter, well, I will say he pounces, which is what I'm going to say later on in the video. It's just a simple move he does. Nothing too complicated there. The Charger, I'm going to say later in the video, charges, obviously. I think you can figure that out. It's pretty simple terms. Overall, it's very, 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 very basic. Some other things I will mention are a difficulty. I'm going to mention Expert. Expert is the hardest difficulty and is obviously for experts. And I'm also going to be mentioning a mode called Realism. It's this campaign mode, but basically for harder and for players who want a more challenging game. So when I mention Expert Realism, it's realism on the hardest difficulty. With that, we'll get back into the main topic of the video. Okay, now that you know what both those terms are, we can move on to the meat of things. Toxicity. I first want to talk about toxicity in versus mode, because that's the big one for that. Now, we've already mentioned racial slurs, and I've explained to you the kick button, but now I'm going to really focus on what I was talking about with the kick button. It's really being used for the wrong reasons. It's meant to remove trolls, and there's been a lot of stories of people being removed from games just because they make one small, tiny mistake. Like, oh, you missed a pounce with the Hunter? You moved from the game. Missed a charge? Sorry, bud. Get out of here. When playing Versus, there is no matchmaking. You aren't going to be put up against players of similar skill levels. It's really just whoever joins. This is a good thing and a bad thing because you can get more matches, but it's also combining players who take it really seriously and new to casual players who are just like coming in for the first time. When I say that these players take this seriously, I mean they take this seriously. They will, and I'm not kidding. Go to your Steam profile, check the amount of hours you have on the game, and if you don't have enough, you're gone. I've experienced this kind of toxicity before, mainly on the Xbox version of Left 4 Dead 2, because that's when I played the majority of my Versus mode, but just because it was the console doesn't mean toxicity was removed. With no skill-based matchmaking, there really is no way for a casual player to get better at Versus unless they get lucky and are just playing a game with their friends, or they're just playing a game with just regular casuals like them. The main problem with this is that it gives the community such a bad rap that literal new players are just turned off from the game. They just hear, oh, the community is toxic? Well, I guess I should stay away from them. The whole point is we're trying to make our community larger so this game stays alive, not to turn new players away. And I'm not saying the game's dying, obviously not, it's Left 4 Dead 2. But more players just makes it more fun for everybody. And some people might tell those new players, oh, just go play single player and play with friends and don't play versus. But single player can be very boring if you only play it. And not everybody has friends who have the game, want the game, or want to play the game. Besides, should it be locked to one mode since you paid for the game? There's even some toxic community members who want to keep the new players out. Now, this toxic part of the community is a vocal minority, but they cause a lot of problems for everyone. They really do ruin a lot of fun from Left 4 Dead 2, and I'm not the only one who thinks that way. Cindershots on Steam talks about his versus experience, which is exactly what I was talking about, where one small mistake and you get kicked, which doesn't happen once but a bunch of times. However, there are so many times where, especially in versus, there are so many toxic players that have the mindset of if you miss one hunter jump or smoker pull, or if you keep missing shots, you're being kicked. Warbeetler talks about his campaign experience. That's right, campaign. It happens here too. He talks about how he was kicked from his own expert realism lobby that he created for him, apparently trolling, which was just him making mistakes as a generally new player. I understand some people will say he shouldn't have attempted this with just barely 20 hours, but they paid for the game, and they can play whatever mode and difficulty they want to play on. U/apprehensive split 70 talks about his experience where some guy kept killing him in campaign mode because he was to him a noob, as he says. But I would just play another game when I so happened to join a random match with the exact same guy. I didn't see it beforehand as I went to grab a drink. Came back and he killed me because he didn't like me? So I asked him why he was acting that way, and he responded by saying, I'm a noob. Then went on to call me a bitch and say that I whine a lot. But like all I asked was why he did what he did. And he proceeded to say nasty stuff. I'm truly disgusted. Even calling me a troll, I'm just trying to play the damn game. It's honestly really embarrassing for the troll to just join back and kill him again. It's like, don't you have anything better to do besides just being toxic? But it really does feel like that's all these people like to do. Whether it's versus or campaign, it can be hard to avoid any toxicity in the community, which is why I want to introduce a new thing to Left 4 Dead 2, and that's split versus mode. Now, I want to say this, but I'm not going to make I don't want a stupid ranking system or anything like that, because that's just going to make it more toxic with people being like, I'm a higher rank than you, so I'm better. No. What I want is one mode titled Versus, just Versus, and the description will basically just be like for new or casual players. And then there's going to be another Versus mode right next to it, just called Simple Competitive Versus. I know, original name. This mode is pretty self-explanatory, as a mode for people who really want to take this game seriously. There's nothing you can really do for the vote cake system, as it's necessary to remove troll players, but some people will get caught into the crossfire, but I assume it would be less if we split the mode up. For campaign, I just really can't think of anything to do for campaign. You can't really fix the toxicity there, and it's a small amount, so I guess you could try adding a parameter with like the lobby's purpose. I've seen it done in other games. Pretty much you select why you made the lobby, like, oh, I want to have fun. Oh, I'm new to the game. Oh, I want to take this seriously. This could help new players out, or people would just not join any rookie lobby, obviously. So there's like pros and cons. The main thing you can do with this mode is just play normal and advanced until you get better, and then just move on to expert. Or you can just brute force it, try until you get non-toxic players, which is, you know, always an option. Either way, any change that we can do for the community and the toxicity is always a welcome change to me, since I just really want people to enjoy this game. It's what has made me happy for tons and tons of years of my life, and I just want other people to experience the same bliss that I have. So, if you're still here, thanks for watching my video. This is the first time I've ever done one of these discussion videos, so I'm sorry if it felt a little all over the place and if I stuttered a bit with what I was saying. I just plan on continuing with my regular gaming uploads after this. There's going to be the same, like usually hour-long videos, not edited, because those are the kinds of videos that I enjoy, so I just wanted to make them. I'd recommend checking out the Pokemon Moon friend lock that me and my friends are doing, because you're missing out on a lot of fun stuff. I don't plan on doing a lot of these videos because I don't like drama. I really don't. it's just all negativity, and I'm just here to enjoy a video game. That's all I want to do. If you like this video, I guess you can like it and subscribe, but I'm not really going to guilt trip you. This is like just a hobby that I'm doing, so I don't really care about money. I'm just trying to have fun with what I do. And honestly, this YouTube stuff has really just been one of the few things that's been making me happy lately. So I definitely am going to continue doing this. It's just a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll see you later, depending on how lazy I am.